So in the last video tutorial, I showed you how to use a while loop to do round one, player one's round, so to speak. So they're twisting or sticking. So they've been given their two cards. And that's all fine. Right, I'm going to just go to the beginning where it says P1 score, and I'm going to say, put some hashtags in here, separate the code out a bit. Here we go. Right, it says player one's round. Put some stuff down here. I'm just going to copy and paste this for player two. It's really straightforward. And we'll put a fail-safe in later if player... Well, actually, no. We don't want to finish the game if player one goes bust. We want to give both players an option. All right. So player two's round is pretty straightforward. I'm just going to nick all the code from player one, because I want to do exactly the same thing for player two. There we go. We just want to go around changing every instance of one with a two. And instead of me just doing this live in front of you, I'm going to pause my screen. Hey, so just continuing on there then. So I paused it for a minute so that I didn't bore the heck out of you with watching this. Just making sure I've made every single change. Ah, there we go. Look, player one. You always get these rogue ones coming up. Right. I wasn't trying to promote Star Wars there. It's getting late. Right, so I've segmented this into a section for player one and a section for player two, and I've just like copied and pasted. And straight away, we get more and more code. If I run this now, player one's current hand is that. I've got a score of 5 stick. And now you get player two. Your current hand is that. Stick. Player round two finished. So both players' rounds are running perfectly. At the end of player two round, I am going to put some hashtags in, and so final decision. It's going to just be a bunch of ifs. So if player, where was it? P2 underscore score is smaller than 22 and P1 score is smaller than 22. P2 underscore score is smaller than 22. So we can use some ifs here just to work out who's won. So if P1 underscore score is smaller than P2 underscore score, print player 2 wins. Elif, do you remember using elif? So elif means else if. So if player 1 score is smaller than 22 and player 2 score is smaller than 22, so if they're both lower than 22, they're both legitimate scores then. One could be 21, the other one could be 21, but whoever's below what. So if player 1 is now smaller than player 2, we say player 2 wins. We then say else if player 1 is greater than P1 score is greater than P2 underscore score. We want print player 1 wins. Be consistent, Mr. Meehan, with all your spelling and punctuation grammar. Right, else print draw. Now the reason I say that is if they're both under 21, they've both got legitimate scores. Or sorry, they're both under 22, they've got legitimate scores. Okay, they can be 21 or under. Then we can do some tests. So if player 1's score is smaller than player 2's score, player 2 wins. If player 1's score is greater than player 2's score, player 1 wins. Otherwise, we know it's got to be a draw. Because we know they're both within threshold for the right sort of score ranges. We check if one's bigger than the other, and we check if the other's bigger than the other, and if not, they're a draw. Right, so then we say else if, or elif, P1 score is over 21 and P2 score is over 21. We print both bust. It's both out. Right, makes sense, doesn't it? elif P1 underscore score is greater than 21, greater than 21, and P2 score is lower than 22, print player 2 wins, player 1 bust. I'm going to just copy and paste this for ease of use. I'm just doing the opposite to the test above there, so the opposite to what was in line 88. In line 91 it should be the opposite, so player 1 wins, player 2 busts, and then finally I'm trying to think what the else would be there. Okay, so I've checked that they're both under 22. If one is greater than 2, one is smaller than 2, player 2 wins, vice versa, draw. Okay, then I'm checking to see if P1 is greater than 21 and P2 is greater than 21, they're both bust. If P1 score is greater than 21 and that is smaller than 21, yep. We'll just leave the else there. Let's see how this works out then. So run. Your current hand is 3 and a 10, so should we twist? Your score is 18. Twist, I want to go bust. Stick. Player 2 wins, player 1 bust. So that's working. So I'll just show you that simple logic again. There's the first bit, so you want to pause and you want to write that out. So if player 1's score is smaller than 22 and player 2's score is smaller than 22, they're both within tolerance, they're both legitimate scores. Let's check if P1 is smaller than P2, because that means P2 wins. If P1 is greater than P2, remember they're already both under 22, so they're fine scores, both of them. Player 1 wins, else print draw. So that won't happen unless they're both below 22, right? So the legitimate scores for both players. Now we're checking if we're using else if, so following on from that, if that condition's not been met, let's check this condition with an elif. Okay, so it logically follows on. Player 1's score is greater than 21 and player 2's score is greater than 21, both are bust. If player 1's score is greater than 21 but player 2 is smaller than 22, as in it's 1 to 21 basically, player 2 wins and player 1 is bust. Else if the opposite, player 1 wins and player 2 is bust. So they're all the possible outcomes of this game. There you have your game of blackjack. Twist. Stick. there you go.